My sister filed false CPS reports to steal my daughter, so I made sure CPS took hers instead. Lauren shows up to every family event with something to top whatever I bring. I mention Miley's good grades, and she pulls out her kids' participation trophies. I bring homemade cookies, and she brings a 3-tier cake. At Mom's birthday, she literally interrupted my toast to give a longer one. But when Miley tested into the gifted program and skipped a grade, Lauren's expression went cold. 2 weeks later, a CPS investigator showed up at my classroom during lunch. Someone had reported that I left Miley home alone every day after school. I explained that Miley attended robotics club until I picked her up at 5. The investigator verified this and closed the case. But my principal started watching me differently. A month later came another report about inappropriate men visiting my home. The investigators questioned my gay best friend who brought groceries and was Miley's math tutor. They closed this case too, but teachers whispered when I entered the break room. Parents began giving me suspicious looks during pickup time. The third report accused me of malnourishing my daughter because she was thin. Miley had chosen to be vegetarian at age 6, and her pediatrician confirmed perfect health. By now, I knew it was Lauren making these false reports to CPS. She would post vague prayers for family members in crisis after each investigation. At Sunday dinners, she'd tilt her head and ask how I was managing. The fourth report arrived the day after Miley won the state science fair. Someone claimed I was committing educational neglect by pushing her too hard academically. My principal placed me on administrative review while they investigated. Parents started requesting transfers out of my classroom immediately. Miley began having panic attacks and asked why Aunt Lauren hated us. I just been nominated for Teacher of the Year when the 5th report came. This allegation claimed potential sexual abuse because Miley mentioned learning about bodies at Thanksgiving. She'd been referring to her health class, but that detail didn't matter. The investigator said this was the most serious allegation they'd seen. I had to take a psychological evaluation and was suspended from teaching immediately. They interviewed Miley with anatomical dolls while I waited outside the room. Miley cried herself to sleep every night, terrified they'd take her away. Lauren arrived during the investigation with our mother, claiming she wanted to support us. When the investigator mentioned possibly placing Miley in temporary foster care, Lauren mouthed, "She's mine." That moment changed everything for me. She wasn't trying to hurt me anymore. She was trying to steal my daughter. I started noticing things during her custody exchanges with her ex-husband. Her oldest child would stuff extra snacks in his pockets when nobody was watching. The middle child mentioned that mommy had special juice time every Tuesday and Thursday. Her youngest, only 6, still wore pull-ups that Lauren rarely remembered to change. I befriended Lauren's neighbor at a school event several weeks earlier. The woman mentioned she worried about those poor kids next door. She told me Lauren's wine club always ended with her passed out by 3:30. I grew close to Janet, a teacher friend who was a mandated reporter. I introduced her to Lauren at school events so they'd be familiar. My plan formed slowly as I gathered information about Lauren's predictable Tuesday routine. When I announced at family dinner that I was moving out of state, Lauren panicked. She frantically offered to watch Miley while I went apartment hunting the following week. I agreed, but suggested all 4 kids could play together for the afternoon. I mentioned my teacher friend Janet might stop by to help. Lauren knew Janet from school events and didn't object. That Tuesday, I dropped Miley off at Lauren's house at 2 o'clock. I saw wine bottles already open on the counter before I left. I texted Janet once I was sure Lauren had started drinking heavily. Janet arrived at 3:30 to find all 4 kids alone in the playroom. Lauren was passed out on the couch, surrounded by empty wine bottles. The 6-year-old was crying because he'd wet himself and couldn't find clothes. The oldest was making sandwiches because mom had forgotten lunch again. The middle child explained this was just normal Tuesday for them. As a mandated reporter, Janet had to call CPS immediately. Real investigators arrived to find Lauren stumbling around, trying to explain the situation. The investigation revealed she'd been locking kids in rooms during wine clubs. They found locks on the outside of the children's bedroom doors. The school confirmed her oldest had been asking for extra lunches. There was barely any food in the house besides wine. Lauren lost primary custody within 2 months of the investigation. Her ex-husband got the kids and they started thriving with proper care. She gets supervised visits now and has to attend parenting classes. I won Teacher of the Year and Miley returned to her happy self. Last week, Lauren cornered me at the grocery store and hissed about planning everything. I looked at her calmly and told her the simple truth. I just stopped being her only target because her kids were there all along.